Hello and welcome to Recharge with Consult. I'm joined here today with Dana Blumberg. Dana is the head of HR at Novel Energy. Really interesting prospect, really fast growing company, which I'm sure we'll have time to get into. Thrilled to be here with you today, Dana. The journey you've gone through to get into renewables, I think, is one of the most unique that I've actually come across. In terms of, explain to us a bit in terms of your journey into renewables, because you've gone through what, five different channels, different industries, etc.
Yeah, actually, and hi, thanks for having me. I'll just correct you right off the start. It's a great way to start a podcast, but it's Dana Blumberg, but everyone says Bloomberg, so I don't blame you. I think non-traditional backgrounds are my favorite because I come from that, and I think being involved in a lot of industries really gives you kind of those stepping stools to be able to execute on a high level. And I mean, this started way back in high school too. I was like in every club and all of the activities that I could be in, and so that's just kind of my happy place. And so started my career in apartment leasing, and then moved to being an executive assistant, and then worked for a post-production company in Los Angeles called Light Iron. I was employee number 4, I think, there, and really just helped grow that business in HR and operations. And that's really where I got my love for HR and executing. And then had the babies, as one does, and my husband and I decided to move from Los Angeles back to Minnesota here, where I grew up, so that we could buy a home and send our kids to good public schools. And I found Novel Energy, and you're right, no renewables background, but what I was excited about with Novel was the people aspect. A really great challenge and just wild opportunities for growth, not only within Novel, but within the solar industry on the whole.
So what is it? 'Cause the more recent roles you've gone into, they've generally been smaller companies, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. That is my sweet spot. I really love helping grow and develop small companies, either startups or high growth. That's really startups and high growth to me feel very copacetic. They're right next to each other, and so that's really where I thrive, and I like that excitement, and I like to get folks into companies like that are of the same mindset, that they really want to help build process, build a company, and watch what happens.
Nice. What is it about that? Is it the pace? Is it the franticness, the stress? Is it?
I mean, yeah, sometimes it's stress. I do think it's the pace. I think it's exciting, and it for sure isn't for everybody. You know, there's some people that like to have, their to-do list that they come to work with and like check it off. Like nothing feels better than like crossing stuff off a list. I'm right there. But I also really like being able to pivot and be kind of flexible and nimble and agile, if I can use some HR buzzwords. But it truly is, it's a fun environment to be in if that's something that lines up with what you want to do.
Absolutely. And going back to kind of your almost like creative roots, have you found that's helped you in your journey? Have you taken bits from everything? Because I know that HR and people in general, it's probably a different type of creativity, but it's
Totally.
interesting about the amount of people that actually start off their careers initially in creative industries and do manage to find themselves in renewables. It's not what you imagine, but actually in reality it seems to become a bit of a trend.
Yeah. I mean, I have a degree in theater and drama, and so I just think that makes me pretty good at talking to people. So that's that's helpful too. And actually, Michael Cioni, who was the co-creator of Light Iron in Los Angeles, he made up a word that we used a lot there in post-production called technative, so technical creative. And that really kind of feels like the solar industry to me too, because it's very technical, but we have to be really creative in how we're entering these markets and the industries, and get new employees, get different markets and sales aspects, and really try to work in and out of that technical creative aspect, and attract talent, which is what you and I talk about all the time.
Yeah, I'm imagining not, but Is it through purposeful choice, or is it more through, again, kind of maybe fate, if you want to call it another word, in terms of kind of you ended up in renewables, or was it more location and the timing, or is it something that you've always kind of kept your eye on?
No, I think it definitely was the right place at the right time. I worked for a software company here in Los Angeles called Drip, and I was kind of looking around for a place to really find a home and build up again, as I did with Light Iron. And the opportunity for Novel came to me, and I drove through a snowstorm to do the first interview because I was like, I must have this interview. This feels really good to me, and it's exciting to get a chance to work in an industry where you're actually going to see the fruits of your labor. You're going to see changing of the world, which I know sounds, kind of pie-eyed, but it's true. We're going to see those differences being made. And so, although when I think about, looking back, did I ever dream about being in renewables? But no, but having the chance to be a part of it and be a part of that engine and creating that change is one of the absolute reasons I jumped on the opportunity and drove through a snowstorm to go to the interview. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, and arrived safe and sound. So that's the important thing, right? So for those that don't know, just give us a bit of an overview in terms of what exactly Novel do, and again, kind of your specific role there and what that entails.
Yeah, so Novel Energy is a solar developer and energy management company. We're based out of St. Paul. We are family-owned, farmer-owned, and we got into the industry to really make that connection between agriculture and solar. And our main business right now are what's called community solar gardens. And that's where we find land to lease, mostly from farmers, and we finance, build, and maintain that community solar garden, which is about 7 to 10 acres of land here in Minnesota. It's a 1 megawatt solar garden. And then we find folks in the area, business and homeowners who can't or don't want to have those panels on their property, but they want to utilize clean energy. They subscribe to the power in our garden and save money on their utility. So it's a super rad way for someone who lives in an apartment building who doesn't even have the choice to put solar on their building. They can subscribe and be utilizing solar power. Or a business that has multiple locations, and maybe it's a manufacturing business that pulls a lot of power. This is a great savings that they can make.
Fantastic. Awesome. Very much needed. Very much needed.
Yeah.
So you've been with the company 3 years, right?
Yes. Just had my 3-year anniversary.
3 years. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I was looking at again, kind of looking at the trajectory of your career, and again, kind of following the path, but like you really seem to have kind of almost got on pedal to the metal at Novel. Was it three promotions in 3 years? HR
yeah, I mean,
up to
yeah. Yes, I think that just kind of mirrored our really tremendous growth. When I came on 3 years ago, we had 30 employees, and now we have upwards of 200 when we have all of our crew in the field building, and we're vertically integrated. When I came on, we were just talking about bringing that construction in-house, and now we've brought, we do all of our permitting in-house, we do the land and title work, we do civil and electrical design, survey, and then all of that construction work is done in-house too. So we're employing those electricians, construction managers, operators, everybody who's getting these gardens built and plugged into the grid, which is super cool that we are able to have that not only develop the solar, but we also build it too, which is something that kind of sets us apart in the industry.
Amazing. And are you focused geographically? Is it a national reach? What?
Well, so that's a great question. When I joined, we were just in Minnesota, but we really, we have a team that works on business development and policy and government affairs. So we're looking at all over the states on where these community solar garden programs are opening up. Like right now, we're also building in the state of Maine. They have started a community solar program. So just kind of looking all over. And also this crazy world that we live in now, after COVID happened, we have really learned with so many companies around the world that remote work is possible and great and has actually been a huge asset to us. we were lucky enough to be a business that didn't have to shut down during the government shutdown. And we hired a ton during COVID, and we grew so much. And part of that is because we realized people don't have to be local to Minnesota. We have employees in Illinois and North Carolina and Maine and California and Colorado and Michigan. I hope I'm not missing any of them, but it's amazing. And we all learned how to work on teams, and we didn't drop productivity, and we learned that this remote work is super possible. And for our Minnesota-based employees, we're in a hybrid return to work situation. So folks come in, 2 to 3 times a week to work in our Minnesota office. And that's been something super important to all of us to be able to keep. I mean, you can see I'm working from home today too. I have 2 small children. It's actually been a real godsend to be able to have that flexibility. And, the leadership here at Novel, we feel really strongly about maintaining that flexibility. So it's been incredible, and be able to stay off the roads, especially here in the summer in Minnesota, and everyone heads up north for the weekend. It's cabin country, so it's pretty nice to not have to sit in that traffic.
I bet. Was it completely new to you because of the pandemic, or is remote working and hybrid? So do you do parts of that before?
No, totally. It's completely new due to the pandemic. And again, it opened up all sorts of super exciting recruiting opportunities. I never would have thought that we would have the chance to hire somebody in North Carolina, because, the mindset before COVID is that you have to work in office together. And, don't get me wrong, I love that in-person collaboration, but we found we can get that too here from this remote opportunity, and have access to candidates that you would never have met before.
Yeah.
Or this super cool thing that we're doing is we've partnered with a company in Pakistan, and we actually have 21 folks in Pakistan that work in all sorts of different positions with our company, and really dynamic, amazing talent that we would never have had access to otherwise. And again, that's due to everybody just kind of opening their eyes to remote work and realizing it's a real boon.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think there's numerous things that the pandemic taught us, but there's one thing that it taught us is actually that the world is a very small place, and that it actually impacted everyone across the world in very, very similar ways. And it moved across the world in a very, very short period of time. And actually, if that can happen, then surely picking up the phone to someone else, or again, kind of jumping on a Teams call on someone else. I think for me, it was interesting to see kind of the way that it impacted everyone, and it was obviously completely indiscriminate. But it impacted in Australia similarly to the same way it'll have impacted people on the North Pole. Really interesting. Again, kind of you'd be amazed about the amount of clients that we work with, that the minute things seem to subside, have kind of moved back to old habits, and everyone's in the office 5 days a week. And again, kind of the impacts that has on people, on employees, on again kind of will have on the business as a whole, because again the world has very much changed, or certainly kind of what we're seeing.
During the height of the pandemic too, it was like, working from home, and being a kindergarten teacher, which is definitely not something that I trained before, and a preschool teacher, and just, feeling stressed about it, and like, I feel like I'm not doing a good job at anything. And then I would just like take a breath and realize, lady, you and everyone else in the world, we are literally all in the same boat, from this work and teaching standpoint. And that would, help me be like, okay, everyone's doing this. It's okay. We're going to get through it.
Yeah, if there's a second point it taught everyone, is that very few people are cut out to be teachers. I think is the
man. At the time, kindergarten was not having it. He did not appreciate mom and dad being his teachers. He was just over it.
Yeah. So. Well, at least you can empathize with the teachers now. So.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I definitely did before. My husband is a middle school teacher, but like it's a whole new thing.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting that. Again, kind of when you moved to Novel, kind of you mentioned obviously coming home, but also kind of the finding an employer where you could settle and almost a home there. What exactly is it about Novel that actually you think kind of as marked as, or is a differentiator, is somewhere that again you came and actually thought this is somewhere where I want to build a career, versus
Totally.
a lot of places will move home, find whatever they can, and then we'll look to find their kind of long-term home?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the opportunity to work in the solar industry, which is an exciting industry. We talked about, making a difference in the world. I like to work for family-owned companies. I have worked for super large corporations and have found that that's just not a fit for me, which is, fine. It's fine for what anybody wants. But for me, I really like that I like help growing a business. And I like the family-owned aspect. They've got ties to the agriculture industry here in Minnesota. And so helping Minnesotans help Minnesotans, and then other folks across the world, I think was a huge draw for me. We've got really strong values that sometimes are more farmer related. Like we have a saying that we are show horses, not no, I did it wrong. I do it wrong every time. We're workhorses, not show horses, which always makes me giggle, but it's also true. And we have a super strong like company culture and values. And it's something that, it starts with candidacy. The employee experience starts there. We talk about those values and how they are integral to success at Novel. And if you can, live these values, then you're going to be successful with Novel, no matter what position you're in. And so that's where it starts, is at the beginning.
For sure. Is that in terms of, so when you started, you were employee number what? There were 30 people, as you mentioned.
It was about 30, yeah.
About 30, and now 200, which is, wow. How has it changed? And interesting enough, again, you've been in renewables for 3 years. Obviously, there's been a global pandemic in between. I know how much renewables has changed as an industry from when I started 3.5, 4 years ago to the way it is now. So in terms of your view, you've gone through a growing company in a growing market. How's the industry and how's Novel changed since when you started to kind of where we are now?
I think that, our company values and culture have remained, and that's kind of the rock that has helped us to grow. I think what's changed is our ability to be flexible and to realize that remote work is a huge asset to us as a company. And then, changing with the industry, it's really just following where the legislation has taken us. We want to be in markets where these community solar gardens are coming up and opening up and thriving, and also, looking to the future of the industry, whether it be battery storage, is definitely something we're looking at, other programs in states to help get more, agriculture connection and more solar on the grid. That's how we're going to continue to grow the business and with the industry. Sure.
And as again, kind of a female executive in the industry, is in terms of kind of there's obviously a massive conversation going on around diversity and inclusion in the industry. Is that something that's kind of at the heart of what you're looking to build, or is it?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunity to partner with the company in Pakistan has been a great way to have outreach to candidates that we wouldn't have had before. We recently implemented a really great ATS called Pinpoint that gives us access to all different kinds of job boards across the US in many different places where you wouldn't think to before. So it gives us a much broader outreach, which is really great. And we're also making connections to the universities here in the area, talking to the heads of the construction management departments and making sure the sales departments, making sure that we're getting students interested while they're still in school. And maybe they don't, it doesn't have to be someone who's studying environmental sciences, which is also a place where we get folks as well. But, sales, construction management, maybe you're thinking of going into construction management. Maybe people don't know that construction management is a huge part of solar. Whether you're just a developer or you have an EPC business, it's opening up those eyes and starting that talent pipeline while folks are still in university, and then hopefully feeding into us. So that's been super exciting too. We had a group of students from Augsburg college come out to one of our sites here in Minnesota. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and like they got to like touch and feel the panels and see what it looks like, and it just got people really excited. And we're definitely going to keep doing that because we want to have people come in who are interested in the industry. And again, like you don't have to have solar experience unless we're looking for a PV design engineer, which is very specific solar design experience. But like I didn't have any solar experience. A lot of the people we hire and onboard don't have that solar experience, but they have a specific skill set that we want that helps us, kind of fill in these blocks to make us a great company.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I see that kind of mindset again. I see that as really forward-thinking mindset, because I think, and I'd be interested to get your take on it, but in terms of the bottlenecks and in terms of kind of the limitation hurdles we're going to face as an industry, I genuinely think the fixation on finding people that have just done it before is going to be where really that main bottleneck comes. We're back to pre-pandemic levels of unemployment. In fact, I think unemployment is lower than pre-pandemic now. We've got a hugely increasing demand for skill sets, for talent. You've got employers that are fighting fiercely to hold on to talent. So there's something that's got to give. And I think that kind of mindset, and again, you're a brilliant demonstration of someone who's been super successful in the industry, super successful within a growing company, and yet someone who's probably come from a different background to what is probably most in demand at the moment, in terms of we just want people that come from a competitor. But is that, from your viewpoint, is that what you're seeing as well? And again, kind of your take on things, or are there other challenges that you think take priority?
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure still a candidates market. That for sure. So it's just trying to be creative again and find different ways of finding that talent that maybe can look at a job that they maybe wouldn't have looked at it if we can, change the way that they view it. And again, like there's definitely jobs where engineers are really hard to find right now. They're super in demand, especially folks that have designed these specific solar fields that we work on. So that's a challenge right there, to try to find people who want to change jobs or jump to a larger corporate place to a smaller growing industry. And like I said at the beginning, it's finding folks with that similar mindset who really love that startup high growth mentality.
What is it about you particularly that you think lends well to the startup environment, and also why do you think you've been so successful in it? Because I think that for me is one of the interesting things about the industry, and probably one of the biggest change points to 3 years ago, in terms of you look at the level of competition now versus 3 years ago, and it's soared, it's through the roof. And again, I think there's an article that came out last week that looked at private equity funding and the markets that they're funding into. Renewables is number one. You look at independent financiers, look at the number of developers, you look at the number of startups that are coming through in the industry. I'm sure there'll be a number that will listen to this, and again, we'll be really interested in terms of the lessons you've learned and why you think you've done well in terms of that kind of environment. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I think for the industry on the whole, it is that excitement of making the world a better place, making a difference in the world, and seeing that, feeling that tangible difference. For me, I think I just really thrive in fast-moving, high-growth environments because I am, to my core, a people person. I'm kind of an empath, and I really love developing folks and helping them grow in a company, no matter what their position in the company is. So when you work in a high-growth or a small business environment, everybody wears a lot of hats, and that's the kind of place that I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of a business where people don't say that's not my job. It's like you jump in and help where you can. And so it's finding those like-minded individuals, and it's developing and watching, someone who started as an intern and watching them grow and be so successful in the company and move into leadership positions. it feels so great to me. And I think that's an opportunity that you get to have in a high growth or small business environment, because there are those opportunities. Jobs, so many positions exist at Novel now that didn't exist when we were 30 people before. We keep adding positions and slotting people in to roles that maybe they didn't think that they were going to, but now this position did open up, and it's like, oh yes, that would be amazing. And I want to grow this position. I want to develop this position. I want to set up the procedures and know that what's working for us now isn't going to work for us next year. So being able to continue to be flexible with that and grow with the company instead of against it.
Absolutely. I smile because my girlfriend is an empath as well. And it's probably one of the best things and worst things in your position in terms of feeling all of the feelings.
It is. I'm such a fixer. Like, I just want to fix things and I want to get in. But what I have learned through lots of bumps and bruises is that my job is to give people the tools to fix themselves, to fix the issues themselves. And so, but boy, I tell people a lot in onboarding when I'm talking about, we utilize insights discovery, which is it's based on Myers-Briggs. It's a personality assessment. And we use it as a communication and execution tool. But I have a lot of green energy, which is that empath energy. And I tell folks that even before I had kids, people have always called me mom, like, mom, fix it. And that's just my energy. That's where I love to live. But I've learned a lot about helping people with the tools.
I'm guessing it makes a lot of sense in terms of how you've ended up where you are now and doing what you're doing as well. I mean, again, I often see that the people that work best in startups are people that have that, because often with that comes commitment, and with that comes hard work, with that comes a willingness to wear multiple hats. And again, that is often kind of what you need in those kind of startup environments. It's kind of in the trenches and all hands to the pump a lot of the time, I would imagine. I mean, we were a company of, well, it was launching our US entity was just me at the start for a year and a half, growing up to 2, very quickly became 20. Which was head spinning in itself. So yeah, I can again, I can only empathize with you in terms of going from 30 to 200 must be.
It's incredible. And you've got employees all over too, as well. So you know how it is to be able to have access to that talent that you wouldn't normally have.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We've not quite gone to Pakistan yet, but yeah, there's always time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What skill sets are you working with people in Pakistan for?
All across the board. We've got CAD drafters, engineers. We've got folks that work in utilities in kind of project management roles. We've got executive assistants, project managers, sales support, really like running the gamut. And it's been such an exciting opportunity for us to learn about a different area of the world and meet people that we would never have met, and vice versa. It's been such a rewarding experience.
With young children, have you had a chance to go over yet?
No. I mean, we've traveled once basically in the last 2.5 years, and that's based on COVID and age of kids. But gosh, that would be amazing. I would love to.
Yeah, always time then.
Yeah, get those kiddos a little older.
Yeah, just park them down. It's fine. They'd look after themselves at this age.
Everything.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So obviously you've come so far. In terms of the future, for as you see it, for Novel, for you personally, what's on the horizon for Dana?
For me, who's to say, really? I want to keep bringing in new, strong talent, opening eyes to the industry, opening up doors to folks to get into renewable energy that maybe didn't think that they could, just because of the broad array of positions that we do have that don't require solar experience. Being able to give people that opportunity is really exciting, and continuing to meet and hire people in different states and hopefully more different countries down the line. I think that's really, really exciting. And as the solar industry grows, so will Novel Energy.
Amazing. And with the point that you just made there, is there anything you would want to to say to any listeners here considering getting into renewables, or again, kind of maybe on the verge of graduating and considering where they want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to solar companies that are in your area. Even if, like I've said, even if you don't have that solar, or like you didn't study environmental sciences, there are a ton of places that you can fit in. If you've got urban planning as a background, we do a ton of permitting and working with local authorities on getting those permits and knowing the ordinances, working with the utilities. So that's a big opener right there. Sales, theater and drama. Like if you can talk to people, you can work in solar. And so, I would just say, don't be held back by the background that you studied in. Think about what you're passionate about, and then reach out to the solar companies in your area and see, can I visit? Can we talk? Is there maybe a job opening that's coming on down the line that my skill set does match with? On our careers page, we have a button where even if the jobs that we have open don't fit what your background is, you can register your interest. You can just click a button and say, hey, here's me, here's my background, here's my resume. And now they're in our pipeline for when a job does open up that matches their skill set. So really exciting.
Awesome. And I think you're a brilliant example of someone that wouldn't necessarily have the traditional route into renewables, but again, absolutely smashed it in the industry. Again, kind of seen real success with the company. And I know you're modest. I can see you shaking your head. But I know your reputation within the company, and I know kind of how well you're thought of. And again, kind of you don't get to a director of people role without kind of being a really impressive part of the business. I know because we have a director of people within our organization, and she's arguably one of the most important people. So I can see you shaking your head and
no, I agree with you. The people are, it's just having that green energy. I'm like, oh, not me. I agree with you that the people are important.
Yeah, 100% as are you. So fantastic. So you mentioned kind of reaching out. If people do want to get in touch, whether it be to find a bit more about the industry, a bit more about Novel, what's the best way generally of reaching you?
Novelenergy.biz is a great place to start, because not only you can go to find our careers page within that website, but you can also learn about everything that we do. And we've got great videos on there, customer testimonials that are really awesome. And then learn more about what the company does, as well as our careers page, which is a constant work in progress, but I'm super proud of where it is at right now, because there's lots of great information there. And, even if there's not a job listed there that connects with you, you can let us know what you are interested in.
Amazing. Well, look, I think the future is very much bright for you guys. Pardon the pun, for a solar developer.
Love it.
But yeah, no, really exciting time for you guys. So what I'll probably do is, and give it a year, we'll probably have you back on and you can tell us about how you're at 500 people rather than 200. I think that's about your scale of growth, isn't it? So
absolutely. It's a deal. I'll high five on it.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, awesome. Thank you so much for sparing the time, Dana. I think it's been really insightful. And again, I just think it's great to speak to someone who comes from a bit of a different background to a lot of others. So thank you so much for sparing the time, and I will look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you for having me on. This was really fun. My first podcast.
Amazing.
Super fun.
Wicked. Speak soon.
Thanks.